To bring the whole family for a delicious meal, Pomodoros of Mooresville has the perfect space for your crowd. Book your next event at pomodoros.com.
Have your say.
Trusting the government to fix anything is a joke.
Be a part of the conversation.
We can't even trust the banks with our money.
This is WSIC News Talk Now. The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Good morning and Happy New Year. This is Officer Vinnie DiGerolamo coming to you live on our radio show About Town. I'm filling in today for Mayor Woody Washam. As you know, the second Thursday of each month, it's Public Safety Day. We like to bring on various guests and different first responders to talk about some events that are happening in town, talk about some awarenesses and some tips that we can give out to the listeners, in our community. And it's a great show. We really love doing this. We really love being a part of this radio station. And hopefully we have, we've got some good advice for you and you enjoy the show. So, as we go into the new year, we're always looking for new opportunities, right? New things to talk about, new ways to impact the community in a positive way. And one thing that is super important that we always are looking to talk about is our police department's staffing, right? So recruitment is such a big part of a police department's success. We're always looking for good men and women to join our police department, join our CPD family, if you will, and have that sense of urgency to always make sure that, again, we're backfilling, with officers. So it's it's a very important job, and it's something that we have to constantly keep on top of, because the worst thing is when you're down officers, it creates a trickle effect, right? It creates a very stressful environment for the current patrol officers and for the supervisors, and it puts people at risk. So we're always, like I said, we're always looking to fill these positions. And luckily, we're one of the few police departments that were completely fully staffed. But things happen. Officers move on. They have other interests, either in law enforcement or outside law enforcement, and that's fine. But we have been fortunate enough not to be down such a large amount as maybe other departments have. So we're pretty thankful for that. And with that being said, we could be very choosy, right, and very selective in who comes to our police department. We're looking for the best of the best. But with that being said, I want to introduce you to our guest today. His name is Officer Mychal Moore, and he is our police department recruiter. So, Mychal, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Officer Vinnie, for having me. Thank you, WSIC, for having me as well. It's an honor to be here and to be able to do this radio show.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. So, on a personal note, this is funny. You may find this interesting. So Mychal and I were hired at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We were we sworn in on the same day?
You were sworn a week before me. Your paperwork came back a week before.
Okay. All right. So, he, but yeah, so Mychal and I go way back, and we started the same time, and and now we were both on patrol, but now we have our opportunity to actually work together. So Mychal's a part of support services, which is, recruitment falls under support services. And so we get the chance to work together every day, which is pretty awesome. So, Mychal, before we get started, just give us a little intro of yourself, where you came from, where you went to BLET, what got you into law enforcement, just a little background.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Greensboro, North Carolina. I went to school there and everything. I moved down to the Charlotte area in 2011. So while I was down here, I worked in and odd jobs, doing a little bit of everything, actually. And then in 2016, I decided that I wanted to get into law enforcement. So I applied for the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office as a detention officer, and I became a detention officer. My hire date was May 25th, 2016. So I was there for 5.5 years. Um, to the end of 2021 is when I really wanted to get into the sworn side of law enforcement because I was working in the jail. And I applied for the Cornelius Police Department because they were hiring at the time. And made it through the hiring process, left the sheriff's office in December 2021 and was hired by Cornelius in January of 2022. They sent me to basic law enforcement training. I went to basic law enforcement training at Central Piedmont Community College at the Marinkas campus, which is in Huntersville. So that was from January 2022 to May of 2022. Graduated and was sworn in as a law enforcement officer officially in June of 2022, and I've been here ever since. My career here, I was on patrol the whole time. I was a field training officer while I was on patrol, so I trained new officers that we brought into the department and everything. And then the opportunity came up for me to put in for the recruiter position. It was available. What a lot of people actually don't know is Officer Vinnie was the recruiter before me.
That's right.
So before you moved into your community engagement position that you're in now, Officer Vinnie was the recruiter before me. So once he left that spot, it became available, and I thought about it long and hard. I was like, I've never done any type of recruiting before. Like, I know how to talk to people, but I just didn't think about doing any recruiting. And I thought about it. I was like, you know what? That probably wouldn't be a bad idea. So I put in for it, got it, and I've been the recruiter since February of last year. So I'm coming up on 1 year of being the recruiter for Cornelius Police Department.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. You know, and coming from the recruiting side, I knew what type of person we needed up there. You know, you have to have the ability to, for a lack of a better term, sell the department, right? Like you have to sell them on what makes us different than every other department. You know, and one thing we really like about your style is you're open and honest with people. You know, like you're not a used car salesman, right? So of course we go to BLET, right, classes, and they are sharks, right? I mean, the minute they enter BLET, these cadets, folks, they enter BLET, which is basic law enforcement training. Most of the community colleges have them. And during that time, other department recruiters are showing up, and they want to see who is available, you know, basically. And we get feedback from the instructors, from the BLET director, say, hey, how is this person doing? Is this somebody that you think would be a good fit for our department? And they give us the good, bad, ugly. You know, they say, well, you know, so-and-so's doing a great job. Well, this one is, I'm not sure about this person, that person. So, but the minute you show up to BLET, right, it's like open water. You know, it's like open game. But again, we're lucky enough to kind of be very choosy and selective, right? But, and we're going to talk more about that. I want the listeners to understand and to know how you take us through the recruiting process. It's going to be a good topic. So let's wrap up with that. And we will be right back with Officer Mychal Moore and Officer Vinnie DiGerolamo on About Town.
There's more About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on the way from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, sunny and bitter cold today as high temperatures only climb into the upper 30s and low 40s. Even with full sunshine, a bit of a breeze too will make it feel colder than that. We dip off down to around 20 tonight under a clear sky. Clouds increasing for our Friday as our winter storm approaches and winter storm watches are in effect all across the area. Be mindful, snow develops Friday afternoon, mixing with some sleet Friday evening. Makes for slick travel Friday evening into the first part of the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses. like ISI Denver.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Karaoke is back at Mychal's Bar on Thursday, January 9th. You asked, and Mychal's came through with CJ the DJ. Karaoke starts at 8 p.m. and ends when everyone stops singing. Bring your performance, no matter how good or bad you think you are. Come have a night full of fun with karaoke at Mychal's in Mooresville on Thursday, January 9th. Friday night, Callista Jade will perform at the Wine Maestro in downtown Statesville. The singer and guitarist will begin her set at 7 p.m. Come on out for a fun night Friday at the Wine Maestro in Statesville. This Saturday is the Chili Plunge and Chili Cook-Off at the Lake Norman YMCA. This free, family-friendly event promises to be lots of fun, whether you take the waterfront plunge or hang out enjoying homemade chili and s'mores. Post-plunge, you are welcome to warm up in the YMCA sauna or steam rooms. Proceeds benefit the YMCA annual campaign. Register for the Chili Plunge and Chili Cook-Off at ymcacharlotte.org. 'Tis the season to lace up your skates at Birkdale on Ice, happening now through January 26th. For the third year, Birkdale Village in Huntersville has an ice skating rink, and they can't wait to lace up their skates with you. Ice skating reservations to ensure skating time slots are accepted. Walk-ups are also welcome. Go to BirkdaleVillage.com for details, information, and tickets to Birkdale on Ice. Get behind the wheel and drive a NASCAR race car at Charlotte Motor Speedway. If you don't want to drive, go for a NASCAR ride-along. The NASCAR racing experience is as real as it gets. There is no lead car to follow, and no instructor rides with you when you drive. Book your NASCAR racing experience today at 704-886-2400. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for details and more information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Now, more About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
And we're back. Officer Vinnie DiGerolamo here, filling in for Mayor Woody Washam and About Town. We're talking about recruiting. We're talking about how important recruiting is. If you just tuned in, again, I'll introduce myself. I'm Officer Vinnie DiGerolamo with the Cornelius Police Department. My guest today is Officer Mychal Moore. He is our police department recruiter. And we were talking about what impact it has on a police department when you're either down recruits, you're fully staffed, right? You know, what is the difference? Like how is it really contribute to the success of a police department? And we all know that having a fully staffed police department is optimal, right? I mean, that's the optimal solution. However, sometimes things happen. Police officers don't want to be police officers anymore. Maybe they move or they move on. No matter what it is, we're always looking for good men and women to fill those positions. So we were talking about when they enter basic law enforcement training, what's the process? And we were just saying that it's like open water, the minute that they're there, all these police recruiters come in, they start kind of probing, they're taking the temperatures of different recruits because, obviously they want the best of the best. We want the best of the best. Our citizens and our business owners and our residents, they deserve the very best police officers that we can get. We're lucky enough to have been a very good functioning, fully staffed department. We're down a couple officers, not the end of the world, but it does have a trickle down effect. So, Mychal, just kind of take us through the recruiting process from like when the application starts. Do we put them through BLET, and then what's the process as they're in BLET and then after graduation? Just kind of run down what your process is. Like, how do we find these people?
Okay, so when somebody applies to Cornelius Police Department, there's different ways that people can reach us. The easiest way is to go onto the website. It's corneliuspd.org and go to the recruitment area, and it leads you right into the initial application for a police officer. And that's how we get in most of our applicants, but we will also go out into the communities. We will go out to different job fairs and different colleges, not just community colleges like UNC Charlotte and Queens University and Johnson C. Smith, and go out to their job fairs to be able to reach people that may be majoring in criminal justice and want to have a career in law enforcement. And we get those people to apply as well. Once they put in their initial application, I will send them additional paperwork that they have to fill out. It takes a while to fill out all the paperwork and get the necessary documents that people have to turn in to us as well. So that takes a little bit of time to come back, and it's understandable. But once they finally turn in all their documents and everything, I will review over everything that they turned in, and then they have a series of interviews that they have to go through.
Right.
Once they finally make it through the interviews, they have to do drug screens, medical screens, psychological exams, polygraphs. If they make it through all of that stuff, and it's a process. It's not going to happen quick.
Oh, yeah.
It's a process. But once they make it through all that, then if they do not have basic law enforcement training, no training, we will send you to training. We will pay you a salary while you're in training. That's one of the good things about working for Cornelius Police Department and the town of Cornelius. We will be able to pay you while you go through training, because law enforcement training, as of January 2025, full time, it is 6 months.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to ask that, because it was what I think we did 16 weeks, right? So 4 months.
So we did 4 months.
Yeah. So
it
it
is
definitely
now
increased
up to, I believe, like 890 hours, which is equivalent to 6 months.
Yeah.
Full time, Monday through Friday, and with some Saturday classes as well.
Yeah. And just on that note too, I just want to make a point. You know, when there are so many sacrifices that have to be made, when you choose to be a police officer, you choose to go through the police academy, it's not just you, you know. I mean, yeah, if you're a single guy, like you don't have anybody, or a single, you know, girl, you don't have anyone that you have to worry about. But we find a lot of the cadets have families, and maybe they start a little bit later in life. Maybe they're starting their law enforcement career later on. It really takes a toll on the families too. I mean, basically Monday through Friday and sometimes Saturdays, right? Like you're away from your family.
Yeah, and it's not just 7 to 4 or 8 to 5 either. You'll have classes from 12:30 to maybe 9, 10 o'clock at night, because you have to do some training that requires you to be at nighttime as well. If you're in a big BLET class, you will have to get everybody through the training. Like it may take you 5 minutes to do it, but it may take somebody else 30 minutes to do it. You have to get everybody through the training, so you have a lot of downtime and everything. It takes a lot of mental and sacrifice, to be able to make it, because you're essentially going back to school, because you have to learn all these different topics, and pass the test that's at the end of them, and you have to do physical training as well. So it's basically like going through boot camp, while you have a family, whatever personal things you got going on, and at the same time that you're going through that, you want to get paid as well. You don't want to be basically putting yourself through training and not getting paid. So it's one of the good things about Cornelius Police Department is we will pay for you to go to basic law enforcement training. Once you graduate and pass all your exams, pass the state exam, then you will come back to us. I will send all of your paperwork off to the state. They have to approve all the checks and balances and everything, and then we'll finally get your paperwork back that says you can be sworn in as a law enforcement officer for the state of North Carolina, and more specifically the Cornelius Police Department. Once they make it through all of that, we're talking months down the road. Once they make it through all of that, then that's when they start their field training program, and they will get assigned a field training officer within the department, and they will train them on how to apply everything that they learned in BLET, how to apply it to real world situations. So it's no longer a training situation. You're dealing with the real world now.
Right.
The entire process, I would say, if you don't have a basic law enforcement training certificate or anything, from the time that you apply to the time that you're out on the road by yourself, out of field training, I would probably say it takes 9 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about right.
About
it's about right.
9 to 10 months altogether.
Sure.
So it's a very, very long process, but if you stick to it, if you make the necessary sacrifices and the necessary adjustments that you need to make, then anybody can make it through it. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, whether you're male, female, race, none of that matters.
Right.
If you have the will and the drive to want to do this line of work, it can be done.
Right.
And that's what we look for in police officers with Town of Cornelius. We look for somebody who's driven, who wants to actually go out here and help our community, assist the citizens that live in Town of Cornelius, uphold the law, be fair.
Yep.
People that will be able to have your back, and I have your back as well.
Sure.
Those are the qualities and the traits that we look for for anybody that applies.
Right.
That's why we can be, I wouldn't necessarily say picky, but selective on who we bring in to the police department.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's a really good point too. We are held at a different standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
The things that we might have done if we weren't police officers, meaning, nothing bad, but, like making really good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny. This couple of weekends ago, I took my two sons. My one son is a Baltimore Ravens fan, and I'm a Steelers fan, right? So he said, "Dad, I would love to go to the Steelers-Ravens game in Baltimore."
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Okay, well, let's just pack up the car and go." And we got tickets, and we were at the stadium. And of course, I'm in my Steelers jersey, and he's in his Ravens jersey, right? And my other son, Vinny, he's in his Steelers jersey. And of course, you go to the game, and you get a couple of people who had maybe too much tailgating going on, too much to drink, right? And these three guys in front of us, they're standing up, and we can't see the field.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time I'm taking my son to a game, and he's excited. So I politely asked the guy in front of me, "Hey, could you do me a favor, guys? Can you just sit so my kid can see the game?" Very, just cool, right? Well, the one guy turns around and starts beefing and starts being kind of a smart guy and saying things that he shouldn't be saying.
Yeah.
Now, one half of your brain is like, all right, like, do we really want to get into this? But then the logical side of your brain says, hey, you know what? I'm going to handle this. I'm going to de-escalate this situation because I can't just be going out, start fighting people, right? Because I'm a police officer, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't it doesn't give me any more rights than anybody else. Like I'm not above the law. Yeah. And that's one thing, right? We never, hey, I'm a police officer, so you just watch yourself.
That's abuse of authority.
Right. That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But I had to just teach my boys, hey, we need to de-escalate this situation. I'm not going to get in trouble. I'm not going to jeopardize my job for some guy who had a couple of beers and just decided to, be a smart guy, right?
Yeah.
So it's things like that.
Yes.
And we look for that in recruits. Like just because you have a gun and badge now, you are not above the law. You have to uphold the law like everybody else.
Yeah.
You have to enforce the law like everybody else. And you have to be a very different person. So we're going to talk more about that as soon as we come back. Again, Officer Vinnie DiGerolamo, About Town with Officer Mychal Moore. We'll be right back.
More About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam. Coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, sunny and bitter cold today as high temperatures only climb into the upper 30s and low 40s. Even with full sunshine, a bit of a breeze too will make it feel colder than that. We dip off down to around 20 tonight under a clear sky. Clouds increasing for our Friday as our winter storm approaches and winter storm watches are in effect all across the area. Be mindful, snow develops Friday afternoon, mixing with some sleet Friday evening. Makes for slick travel Friday evening into the first part of the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hi, This is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Got a Toyota? Get it serviced at Quality Car Care of Statesville. Looking for a great pre-owned vehicle? Quality Car Care has you covered at 2040 Old Mountain Road. Visit QualityCarCareStatesville.com.
Hey, it's Kevin Harrison with Harrison's. Now's the time to load up on layers. From lightweight long-sleeve t-shirts to heavy-duty Sherpa-lined coats and everything in between, Harrison's has what you need to work safe and work warm all winter long. Come see us on Norman Station Boulevard in Mooresville.
Give the gift of confidence with professional tooth whitening at Crawford and Colvin Dentistry in Huntersville. Choose from take-home trays or in-office options. Crawford and Colvin Dentistry, where smiles are crafted with care. Visit LakeNormanDentist.com.
The Statesville Family YMCA reminds you that older adults and those with chronic health conditions don't need to feel they must accept impaired balance and limited mobility. Build strength, improve balance, and gain confidence in your mobility through the Moving for Better Balance program. For questions and additional information, email C. Mullins at ymcanwnc.org.
How about savings off a brand new car? Randy Marion Ford Lincoln in Statesville. We've got our service loaners with just a few thousand miles on them. Save thousands of dollars on all makes and models. That's F-150, Expedition, Explorers, Lincolns, Corsair, Navigator. I tell you, these cars are like brand new. Never been titled. You're the first owner. Save thousands. Randy Marion Ford Lincoln, I-77, right here in Statesville. You know where we are, folks. Right where the spinning car is. That's where the deals are. Randy Marion Ford Lincoln. Come see us today.
Nothing but the best talk.
The area's best talk.
WSIC.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Consolidation at the mall. Retail companies Simon Property, Brookfield, Authentic Brands, and Shine have now partnered to form a new company called Catalyst Brands. It brings multiple chains under one corporate umbrella, including Aeropostale, Nautica, Eddie Bauer, Brooks Brothers, Lucky Brand, and JCPenney, whose CEO will run the company. The source tells Women's Wear Daily Catalyst is already considering a sale or spin-off of the Forever 21 chain. A lot of people bought their Christmas presents and stuff for the big family dinner and champagne for New Year's Eve at Costco, one of the last companies in the retail business that still publicly reports its sales every month. Says total comparable sales rose 7.4% in December. That's exactly double the gain the market was expecting. In the U.S. specifically, the increase was 9.8%, nearly double the expectation. To honor President Carter on the day of his state funeral, Wall Street is closed today. No trading. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
The button pushing stops here.
WSIC. Local starts here.
We're back with more of About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
And we're back. Officer Vinnie DiGerolamo here, About Town, filling in for Mayor Woody Washam, talking about recruiting. As you know, again, recruiting is very important to any police department. We want to make sure that we're fully staffed. Our citizens and our residents and people who live in town and work in town, they deserve the very best in public service. And we're talking with Officer Mychal Moore. He is the police department's recruiter. He's been with us for a while now, and we ended the show here, or we went to commercial break talking about what the process is. So we talked about it was 4 months.
It was 4.5 months before. Now, with the new topics that they've introduced into basic law enforcement training, it is now 6 months.
Right.
From start to finish.
Yep. And we talked about the sacrifices that these cadets make being away from their friends and their families for that long. And it's not only, and as you said, Mychal, it's not just, oh, hey, 8 to 5, 5 o'clock, you go home.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. We'll see you tomorrow. Like there's PT afterwards, right? Right. And then you got to study.
Yes.
Because if you remember, I'm sure, I remember, every Friday there's 3 exams that you have to take.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, is it still 5 exams and you're out? If you fail 5?
Well, with the new BLET, since they added more classes,
Right.
I'm pretty sure the number has gone
Yeah,
up.
I'm
But
sure.
when we went through,
Mm-hmm.
there were 36 topics of instructions that you had to pass.
Right.
And if you failed 4 on the first attempt, you're like on the bubble.
Yeah.
If you failed the 5th one on the first attempt,
Right.
then you're out.
You're out.
Like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to, not only do you have to pass the test, you have to essentially pass it on the first time that you take it.
That's right.
So it requires a lot of studying, a lot of at-home studying.
Right. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, you get home at 6, 7 o'clock at night, all depending on where you live. You're completely exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
You got to start studying because you got 3 different blocks of instruction that you're going to be tested on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And, you don't want to start that off on a bad foot, right? But then also it comes into play at the end. At the very end, you have that 300, I think it's 300 questions. Now I'm sure it's going to be more, but 300 question state exam. So there's a lot that goes into this. But now we're going to talk about, I want to know about what happens after BLET. So the cadet graduates, we swear him in as a certified sworn police officer in North Carolina. What happens next?
So then once you get sworn in, you will get assigned a FTO. And what FTO means is a field training officer.
Which you were, right?
Yes, when I was on patrol, I was a field training officer. And the field training officer's main responsibility is to train the brand new officers that's coming into the agency, train them on the policies, procedures, and the ways that we as a Cornelius police officer conduct ourselves and handle ourselves out on the road. So it is actually, in my opinion, it's one of the most important jobs at the police department.
Sure.
Because you are building up the future of the police department, and all the information and all the knowledge that was given to you, you're passing it along to the next person that's coming into the agency.
Sure.
And when you're training somebody, you have to train them the right way, by policy and procedure, by standards, by the laws of North Carolina.
Sure.
Because it's easy to want to try and do stuff your own way.
Right.
But that is why every agency has policies and procedures to keep everybody in line, to make sure that they're doing stuff the right way.
Right.
So a new person is assigned to FTO, and you have your familiarization. So we have different areas in the police department. We have traffic unit.
Right.
We have an investigative unit. We have a crime reduction unit. We have Lake Patrol, because of course we're right here in Lake Norman.
Right.
So we definitely have Lake Patrol.
Absolutely.
We have school resource officers.
Right.
The new cadets that come in, or new officers that come in, they have to go around to each one of these different areas and just spend some time with the officers that work those areas and get familiar with how they operate, the things that they do, their specialized units.
Right.
And then once that's complete, you will go out on the road and you will begin your first phase of training. The first phase of training is, in my opinion, the most important part of the training, because that's where you're getting taught everything.
Right.
It is literally called familiarization. You are taught how to use the computer-aided dispatch system, or what we call the CAD system.
Right.
You're taught how to write reports. You're taught how to respond to calls. You are taught how to deal with people on calls. You're taught how to do traffic stops. You're taught how to, in the event that is something big goes on, you're taught how to respond to a call with lights and sirens, and what you can and can't do while you're doing that. You're taught how to just be an everyday police officer.
Right.
It's a lot of information that comes in that phase one, but you just have to stick with it, because it's a lot to be shown, but it's a lot that we do. also as a police officer, you're taught how to take a crash report.
Right.
You're taught a whole bunch of stuff. So it's a lot of information that comes in, but what we want to see as the field training officer, we want to see you progress.
Sure.
And get better and get more comfortable with things. We know everything is not going to be perfect, and that's totally fine. But we just want to see you progress.
Sure.
The first phase of training lasts 6 weeks. Then you have your phase 2, which is implementation. So everything that you learned in phase 1, you want to be able to show it in phase 2. So the training officer is a little bit more hands-off.
Right.
In phase 2. And they step back and let you more handle calls and handle situations on your own. And if need be, we'll step in and, guide the conversation this way or step in for assistance when needed. But we're a little bit more hands-off in phase 2.
Right.
And then we have our last phase, which is the shadow phase. That lasts 2 weeks. And you're in the car by yourself. You're assigned a zone within town, and you respond to the calls in your zone. You initiate your own traffic stops and own self-initiated activity within your zone. And anytime you have a call or a traffic stop, not only will your FTO, but any of the other officers that's working on your shift, they will come and back you up and just see how you're doing on the calls and trying to make sure that you're safe, of course, but make sure that you're doing things the right way and that you know how to do things by yourself.
Right.
So,
and with that being said, one of the most important things I think as an FTO is to make sure that the new officer is not violating anyone's rights. I mean, I remember being, in that phase and you're like, and you start to second guess yourself. It's like, is this an arrestable offense? Can we really do this? Especially when it comes to DWI, right? There are so many different things that an officer has to do on that traffic stop. One, we have to have probable cause. We have to have reasonable suspicion, right? We have to have a reason to stop the car. We have to put him through field sobriety testing. We have to make sure that all our ducks in a row to say, okay, this person, in our opinion, based on our experience, right?
Training.
That this person should not be driving a motor vehicle because they've been drinking, right?
Yeah.
And it's at that point where the field training officer has to let that officer take the reins on that and say, look, if you think this is what you need to do, then you do it. Now, if the field training officer knows 100% that that's not what you're supposed to do, then as you said, you're going to step in and help them out, right?
And tell them, like, hold on.
Yeah.
Before you
let's rethink this.
Before you make it a decision, before you take action,
right?
What do you have?
Right.
If you have,
let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about what you saw. What do you have? Does it meet all the elements of this crime that you think happened?
Yeah, that's right.
If it doesn't meet all of these elements, then you can't arrest them.
And we have a thing, right? It's the circumstance, it's the totality of the circumstance.
Totality of the circumstance.
Do we have everything that will present itself in a court of law to say, yes, this person is doing something that is against the law?
Definitely.
So essentially training never ends, right?
No, it never ends.
It's just ongoing training.
Never.
It's just,
even for 5, 10, 15-year veterans, they're always learning something new with the police department. It's ever evolving.
Okay. So we'll be right back, and we want to talk more about the training and the recruitment here. Officer Vinnie DiGerolamo, we'll be right back.
We'll be back with more of About Town, hosted by Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam. Straight ahead on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, sunny and bitter cold today as high temperatures only climb into the upper 30s and low 40s. Even with full sunshine, a bit of a breeze too will make it feel colder than that. We dip off down to around 20 tonight under a clear sky. Clouds increasing for our Friday as our winter storm approaches and winter storm watches are in effect all across the area. Be mindful, snow develops Friday afternoon, mixing with some sleet Friday evening. Makes for slick travel Friday evening into the first part of the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hi, this is Joshua Dobie. Join me Thursdays at 4 p.m. for Dollars and Cents, a show that focuses on your personal financial journey and the markets around us. That's Dollars and Cents, Thursday afternoons at 4, here on WSIC.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Karaoke is back at Mychal's Bar on Thursday, January 9th. You asked, and Mychal's came through with CJ the DJ. Karaoke starts at 8 p.m. and ends when everyone stops singing. Bring your performance, no matter how good or bad you think you are. Come have a night full of fun with karaoke at Mychal's in Mooresville on Thursday, January 9th. Friday night, Callista Jade will perform at the Wine Maestro in downtown Statesville. The singer and guitarist will begin her set at 7 p.m. Come on out for a fun night Friday at the Wine Maestro in Statesville. This Saturday is the Chili Plunge and Chili Cook-Off at the Lake Norman YMCA. This free, family-friendly event promises to be lots of fun, whether you take the waterfront plunge or hang out enjoying homemade chili and s'mores. Post-plunge, you are welcome to warm up in the YMCA sauna or steam rooms. Proceeds benefit the YMCA annual campaign. Register for the Chili Plunge and Chili Cook-Off at ymcacharlotte.org. 'Tis the season to lace up your skates at Birkdale on Ice, happening now through January 26th. For the third year, Birkdale Village in Huntersville has an ice skating rink, and they can't wait to lace up their skates with you. Ice skating reservations to ensure skating time slots are accepted. Walk-ups are also welcome. Go to BirkdaleVillage.com for details, information, and tickets to Birkdale on Ice. Get behind the wheel and drive a NASCAR race car at Charlotte Motor Speedway. If you don't want to drive, go for a NASCAR ride-along. The NASCAR racing experience is as real as it gets. There is no lead car to follow, and no instructor rides with you when you drive. Book your NASCAR racing experience today at 704-886-2400. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for details and more information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Call now to speak with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam at 844-STUDIO-4. It's About Town on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
And we're back. Officer Vinnie DiGerolamo here and About Town, filling in for Mayor Woody Washam. It's Public Safety Day. It's the second Thursday of every month. We like to bring our public servants on the show and talk about different things. And today's recruitment. Once again, it's so important for a police department to have good recruits, to have fully staffed people with us so they can go out and make sure that we're providing the town with the very best in public safety that we can provide. So we talked about training, Mychal, and we know that training never ends. You know, I mean, we can be on the department 10 years, 5 years, 6 months. We always have to go through training. Things change. New ideas come up. We do less lethal training. We do firearms training. We do first aid training, legal updates. So, one thing too, I just want to mention that, we are required to do in-service training as well, which is given by the North Carolina Justice Academy. And it's different blocks of instruction that we have to go on to the website, watch the video, take an exam at the end. Some take 4 hours, some take 2 hours. And we're required to do that each and every year. It's called in-service training. So folks out there, if you didn't know, again, this is something that it's just not like, it's not your typical 9-to-5 job. Like we're always on, we always have to be the best that we can be, either in uniform or out of uniform. So Mychal explained everything about the recruitment process. One last thing I want to talk about with you, Mychal, as the recruiter is we don't just hire police officers, right? So take us through other departments that you are responsible for recruiting.
Yes. So not only do we hire police officers, that's the main thing that we hire for, but we also handle the hiring for 911 dispatchers, because we have a 911 dispatch center in Cornelius in the police department. that we have to keep fully staffed.
Mm-hmm.
So I hire for dispatchers. I hire for animal control. We have an animal shelter in town,
Mm-hmm.
and we have animal control officers that staff the animal shelter.
Sure.
I hire for the front desk
Mm-hmm.
receptionist. I hire for crossing guard,
Right,
which
right.
is actually still open. So if any listeners
We
out
are
there
in desperate need of a crossing person.
if
Yeah.
any listeners out there want to make a little money on the side,
Mhm.
we do have a part-time crossing guard position open for one of our elementary schools, which is Cornelius Elementary.
Mhm.
If you are interested in applying, you only have to do 2 hours a day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon.
Mhm.
And if you are interested in applying, you can go to the website, which is corneliuspd.org.
Mhm.
Click over to the recruitment page and scroll down to where it says find open jobs.
Right.
You click on the link, it'll take you right to where the part-time crossing guard position is open.
Awesome.
And we do also have a part-time animal control position open.
Right.
Open as well. So
Sure.
if you love animals,
Mhm.
if you love working with animals, specifically cats and dogs, but
Right.
you never know what.
Yeah, we're not
animals-
catching alligators or iguanas or nothing like that.
We're not catching banshees hanging out the trees and anything like
Yeah.
that. But if you like working with animals and want to further your career,
Sure.
we are also hiring for part-time animal control as well. And I handle all the hiring,
Mm-hmm.
paperwork from start to finish for all of the positions.
That's wonderful. So, just to wrap up this segment of recruiting, anyone interested can go either to the website, they can go to our Facebook page, or they can just email you directly.
Yes, you can email me directly. My email address is mmoore, that's M Moore with 2 O's, at corneliuspd.org.
Yeah.
Once again, mmoore at corneliuspd.org.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've done a great job. It's about a year now, right?
Yes, it'll be a year next month.
Next month, right? So yeah, like I said, Michael's done a great job. It's hard, folks. It's not easy finding good people. I mean, there's so many. Sure, everyone wants to apply. Oh, I think it'd be really cool to be a police officer, right? It's just, but there's so much more to it. You got to be like a good person. You have to have good character. I mean, we have a lot of very high standards here in Cornelius, and we want the best of the best. But we thank you, Michael, for being on the show.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure talking to some of the officers and the different staff. And just to kind of wrap this up, now next show, we're going to have 2 of our Cornelius Police Department detectives on. We want to talk about some fraud alerts and some awareness, especially for the seniors. There's so many scams out there that are happening, in today's society. So we just want to make sure that everyone is aware of what's happening, or some of the trends that we're seeing, right? Within the community, within the town, and that's going to be a really good show. So make sure you tune in for that. But just to kind of wrap things up here, we always like to talk about, as a community engagement officer, I like to talk about things that are happening in the community. We had a great family Christmas adoption program. It really ended well. We were so thankful for the families in town who adopted other families who just needed a little help, for the holidays. I mean, it's not, what is it? Just to give back a little bit, and that went really well. Just to see the look on these kids' faces when they got presents was a joy in itself, and again, so we want to thank everyone out there in the town of Cornelius who adopted a family. We appreciated it. I'm sure the families appreciated it and the kids appreciated it. So it's just something we do every year. We're really proud of that program.
Yeah.
One thing we know last year, one of the biggest impacts that we had is the hurricane, right? So this affected people in Western North Carolina.
Yeah.
As a police department, we did an amazing job. And I have to say, it wasn't just us. I mean, so many police departments contributed to the relief efforts. I was super proud of our department. We spent hours and hours driving supplies up there, staying up there for a week at a time, right? Just doing anything we can to help these people who lost virtually everything, you know?
And actually, to piggyback on that, I
Mhm.
didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're
but
good.
To piggyback on that, I want to say thank you to everybody in the Lake Norman, Charlotte area that came and donated
Yes.
so much stuff. We had so much stuff at the police department.
You're right.
That we had to take multiple trips to multiple areas
Yeah.
to donate all that stuff. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's listening that donated some stuff for the people that was affected by Hurricane Helene.
Amazing, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely amazing how people come together in time of need.
Mhm.
You know, there are good people in the world,
Yeah.
right? So, but yeah, I mean, that went really well. And then Christmas time, we had a coat drive.
Mhm.
We brought some unwrapped toys and coats and winter gear up to Western North Carolina. I mean, this is what it's about, folks, right? Just doing the right thing, you know, giving back. So we really, really had a successful holiday season with that. Now, of course, in the winter, you know, we try to start planning for 2025. We have a lot of events coming up more towards the springtime, but, you know, we're not going to forget we have our Coffee with a Cop event. We're going to do Pizza with a Police event. You know, we're going to do these little events. But the biggest change I want to make this year as a community officer is to do things that truly make a positive impact in the community. What can we do to get into these neighborhoods, get into the communities, work more with the children, work more with seniors? We want this to be an everlasting impact. You know, like year after year, we want people to say, man, the Cornelius Police Department, these folks came out and they did this project or that project that really changed someone's life. We are working with this subcommittee now from Charlotte. They provide resources, right? Now, of course, if someone says, hey, where can I find a resource for no matter what it is? It could be domestic violence, alcoholism. It could be just crisis intervention. Charlotte, right? Everything's in Charlotte. Well, not the case. We've got so many resources right here in town that folks don't know about. That's my mission, is to get that word out. You're struggling. You have a problem. And it's funny, I say this all the time. It's okay not to be okay. You have a problem. You need to talk to someone. You want to have a cup of coffee. Please, folks, call our police department. I would be more than happy to come out and talk with you. Officer Moore would be more than happy to talk with you. Any one of our officers. This is not just, you know, it's not just upholding the law and locking people up, right? I mean, that's not what this is about. Yes, we have to enforce the law. I mean, that's our job. But we're community officers. I mean, our patch says it. Community policing driven.
Yeah.
We want to make a positive impact with the community. We want people to appreciate and respect us and vice versa. So we've got a lot of great things coming up, folks. The Shred event was another big event. We're probably going to do it towards the end of tax season. That way you can get rid of all your unwanted clutter. And just, you know, of course, one big thing was the Citizens Academy. I encourage you to please join our Citizens Academy. It's 12 weeks. It kind of gives you a little bit of insight. It's like a little mini BLET, right? It's like a little mini, you know, police academy. It's 12 weeks. It's one night a week. It's from 6 to 9. We bring you through all the phases of the police department, and you really get to know the inner workings of what we do. And from that point, you could become a volunteer. And that was another big success. We revamped our entire volunteer program. I can't tell you how many great men and women we have volunteering for the police department. It's huge. But folks, that wraps up our show. We really appreciate everyone listening. I'm Officer Vinnie DiGerolamo, and Mychal Moore, thank you for being on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, folks. Take care.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9 100.7 WSIC, Statesville.